All right, President Trump gave another strong speech, this time to CPAC in Dallas. Here to talk about it, my pal Steve Miller, former White House senior advisor, founder of America First Legal. You know, Steve Miller, I'm really starting to like these speeches, okay? I haven't seen the total text from Dallas, but just running through these themes. Now, a lot of this is, you know, shut down the border, stop crime, stop inflation, restore public safety, ending this cashless bail, restoring stop and frisk. I mean, I think this stuff is really going to resonate. Everybody wants to talk about the horse race and if and when he's going to declare, but he's really laying out a very strong agenda. And I wondered, I'm sure you had a hand in some of these speeches, but I'm assuming he's drawing attention to crime and public safety as a key issue.
Well, you're exactly right. You've hit all the key points. So what President Trump is doing is he's laying out both an agenda for Republicans to win the midterms, as well as a governing agenda for 2023 and then 2025. And what President Trump has hit on, and he's been a leader on this issue since before his days in politics, since back when he was a businessman in New York during the Dinkins days. What he's leading on is the idea that public safety is the foundation of success in American life. You cannot have good schools, good small businesses, upward mobility. You cannot have any of the things that make us a first world country if you don't first have safety. And I think that if Republicans heed that call, and they likewise set this up as an issue for voters, if you want safety, if you want security, if you want to be able to walk home from school without having to fear a gang, without having to fear a predator, then vote Republican. I think you're looking at a landslide, not just a midterm victory, and I think you're looking at historic gains among Latino voters.
Yeah, you know, one thing I liked is in Dallas, he called to abolish the education department, which is a hopeless rat's nest of left-wing thinking. A lot of those people...
Den of Marxists.
Yeah, a den of Marxists, critical race theory, crazy sex and gender identification. A lot of those people are there permanently, which brings me to another issue that I like, and that is, you know what? Whoever the next president is needs some authority to wipe out the bureaucracy. Honestly, they're there forever. Reagan had this theme many years ago when I worked in OMB, because it was run through OMB, but we haven't done enough. The bureaucracy has gotten fat, sassy, and very far left-wing.
So much to hit on there. So one of the most revolutionary things, and you know this very well, Larry, that President Trump did that doesn't get talked about enough during his first term was he instituted the 1 in, 2 out rule, which says that for every new regulation, 2 regulations have to go. That was key to paring back the regulatory state. But in order to make government truly accountable to the people, you also have to deal with recalcitrant bureaucrats themselves, who frustrate the will of the president, of Congress, of democracy itself. In other words, you have a situation where the American people have said, we want to go in a certain direction. Let's say, you know, we want to make energy more abundant. But then the bureaucrats will say, well, we want to slow walk this. We want to kill it with 1,000 cuts. That's not allowed under our constitutional design. The president is entitled to have a government that is responsive to his will as the duly elected president and the will of Congress expressed through their statutes. So bravo to President Trump for putting this issue front and center in our national dialogue.
One other thing, this is something I'd like to see, and I'm going to talk to him about it. The Bidens and all these crazy bills, these big government socialist bills, so they're overturning the very best economic policies we've had in several generations on taxes, on regulations, on fossil fuels, for example. And I'd like to see him talk more about that. In other words, he should say, I did it once. Here was the great success we had. You know, even people that don't particularly like him agree that his economic policies were highly successful. I'd like to see him talk more about that. I did it once, it worked, these guys are overturning it, now it's time to go back on that and even build on it further. I think that's another important theme. Inflation, recession, you know, fossil fuels, economic growth, entrepreneurship, reward success. Trump used to say that, reward success. Obama wanted to punish success.
Well, he's laid out the map for economic greatness, as you know. Energy independence, deconstructing the regulatory state, low taxes, trade policies that reshore American manufacturing, streamlining the permitting process, streamlining the approval process, getting bureaucrats out of the way of American innovation, and making fair deals for the American worker. So you're right. He's done it before. He can do it again. And more immediately, Republicans talking about the Trump economic agenda will help us to win a majority in the midterm. So it's all connected, as you know, Larry.
All right, good stuff. Great stuff. Thank you, Steve Miller. I'm really, my former boss is doing a great job.